In one of my previous videos, it was the one titled Lucid Dreaming, somebody had commented, sorry, I don't remember your name, but I'll go ahead and highlight that comment so you guys can take a look at it if you're interested. But it inspired me to do this video. They were talking about how most of us naturally have like more of a spiritual connection and more almost like psychic abilities when we're younger as children, and then as we grow older, we kind of lose that. And I definitely agree with this very much so, and I actually really wanted to talk some more on this subject. I think that all of us as living, breathing human beings, we were, as it said, created in the image of God. And we all have God within us, and therefore we are all spiritual beings. We all have a soul. And for that reason, I think that we all have the capability to connect to the collective consciousness, to do all of these so-called psychic things naturally within ourselves. But I personally think that over time we kind of lose this ability. I mean, losing is actually the wrong word for it, actually, because we don't lose the ability, we simply become dull to it. We almost like desensitize ourselves to the point where we forget how to access those abilities. But I do believe there's a way to get that back. As children, we are so innocent and we were so pure, we're so untouched by a physical reality. We're so new to this experience that we still hold much more of that intuition, much more of that natural knowing. We're much more connected with God Himself simply because they have no other distractions, they have no other temptations. But as we grow older into society, we become very, very distracted by our physical realm. And this happens so quickly. It's little by little increments, but it happens quickly, and we quickly lose our desire to reconnect because we're so distracted by all of these physical elements. And those distractions have become a form of socialization. So because we become distracted and think, oh, I need to take care of my physical needs, I need to take care of this and that, which of course we do, but we become so preoccupied with all of our human problems here to where we forget to use our thought power onto the things that really matter, which is connecting with God, which is connecting to spirituality, which is furthering our development and our knowledge and our understanding and our collective consciousness. Because what we lack to understand is that, well, what we think we do by creating civilizations and societies is that we're creating structure and we're bettering our lives. And yes, of course we are in certain areas, but the place in which we're lacking is that whole connection part. So we end up going into so much competition with one another and forgetting that core purpose. If we were to recall our childlike connection with spirituality, it would solve so many of our problems. And we think of this in such like a backwards way. We think that if we keep our head in the clouds and just, kind of let things flow, that's not being proactive, that's like, not being a productive member of society. But what we fail to understand is that this is exactly what will help bring our society together. I personally feel like this is really what has divided us over the years. I personally believe that this is a lot of reasons for like a lot of the fighting that goes on between humans, because we live in such this We get so distracted by the physical realm, and we get influenced into believing in a lack of resources. But if one is spiritually connected, one understands that there is no such thing as lack, that there is always abundance everywhere for everyone. And there is no reason to fight. There is no reason to compete. There is no reason to feel as though what someone else has you can't have unless you take it from them, because there's enough for everyone. But we lose that because we're not seeing the full picture. We're only seeing what's right in front of us, the physical, what's right here. But when we don't connect, that's all we see. With the connection, all you see is love. All you see are those higher vibrational emotions, which is love, joy, acceptance, contentment, enlightenment, all of those things. And as children, we're naturally born in that state. We're naturally born in a high vibrational state because we're not brought down by the universal balance that contains both good and bad, that contains both enlightenment and deception, that contains both love and hate. And we're brought down by these ideas, by this conflict of thought. We create this dichotomy in our minds thinking, when I was a child, why were things so easy? Why were things so good? Why did I feel so connected? Why did I feel so just joyful? And it's true, we didn't have a care in the world. We didn't have responsibilities. We didn't have, other temptations. We didn't have all these choices. And life becomes more and more complicated as we go. But I'm under the impression that it doesn't have to be that complicated. Like, for so long, like I too, when I was young, I was very, very sensitive and connected to the spirit realm. And that actually carried on through like much longer than typically expected, I think. Because like, as I grew older, like a lot of the people that I knew, like, had already forgotten that, or had already like kind of blocked that part of themselves. And so when I would say certain things, they would be like confused or thought I was like some kind of psychic or something. But I too eventually began blocking a lot of those things because one, because you start feeling strange, you start feeling weird, like you're the odd one out and nobody knows what you're talking about. And when it's not talked about, when it's so like ostracized like that, like it makes you want to conform. And I unfortunately kind of started to move in the direction of conforming at one point and very much began to lose myself. And that was when, I started attracting like a lot of really bad situations to myself, and like bad health and just bad mental framing. But yeah, all of that changed when, of course, I started thinking better of myself, started taking better care of myself, but it more so changed when I started reconnecting spiritually, and it changed again drastically once I reconnected with God. And that really changed everything. Everything has really come back together in my life. And I owe it all to that spiritual connection. The point of this the point I'm trying to make is that I think as adults, we are not cut off to this connection, not at all. I think that it is our journey to learn how to maintain and or rebuild that connection. I think part of our work as humans is being able to balance the the physical realm as well as the spiritual realm. And it's a heavy burden, I know, but it's so temporary. It's so fleeting. We only have so much time to do this. And in my opinion, we chose to be here. So this challenge, make the best of it. Learn to connect the two. They seem so far apart at first, but once you start to connect spiritually, you'll come to find how well it integrates with your life. And you'll come to find like the struggles that you used to have in your physical realm, it just no longer exist. Like, sure, things pop up, but God will solve them for you. It doesn't mean that things are easy. It's a constant, you always have to be working and striving for things. But I'm telling you, like that connection has changed everything. And I've reconnected with so many of my abilities that I had blocked out. Like for a long time, I said like I blocked out these certain abilities that I used to have, and I became almost like ashamed of them and unsure if it was okay. And then once I started reconnecting, it was like God was telling me like, hey, it's okay. It's okay to do these things. And I'll talk more about probably that subject in another video too. Because I think there is a big disconnection now between like the new age sort of spirituality and the older like Christian way of following God. And I'll definitely do a video on that one because that's fascinating. But anyways, so I started reconnecting a lot with like my old like so-called psychic abilities, and it has improved my life drastically. I encourage you, if anyone out there has been one of those like sensitive beings, like one of those empaths as they call them, and you've been like repressing yourself in order to fit into society, I can tell you that that's a struggle not worth having. There's nothing better than feeling as though you are free to be yourself. You are free to explore the gifts that were given to you. Because you are. They're given to you for a reason. God gave you these gifts in order to connect with Him, in order to build a beautiful life for yourself. You were meant to be able to connect spiritually, to be able to tap in to those higher frequencies in order to manifest a glorious physical reality for yourself. This isn't a test. This isn't a torture. This isn't, none of that. This is a gift to be here. It truly is a gift. And during the time that I blocked those connective thoughts, only then, that was the only point in my life in which I felt purposeless, in which I felt like life was like, what's even the word for it? Almost like life was hell, like I was put here like to be punished. But it was not true. It was all my own doing. It had everything to do with my blocking God from my life. Everything to do with suppressing my own connection. The moment you reconnect that, it all clears up. Your perspective changes. And you just understand. Your life, it's not like your life is going to be perfect, but that understanding, just that knowing, it's a security you can't get from anything or anywhere else. It's only within you. Well, thank you for watching. I love you.